Well, that was kind of rude of me. I'm sorry. On the last set, 6 through 10, I did not submit them. So let's go ahead and submit them and see how we did. Yes, yes, I know. Okay, so we answered questions 6 through 10, and we see that we got all of those right. So that's just validation for that video. Either way, I'm going to start a new set, and I'm going to do 11 through so on. Alright, so here's question 11, giving us a histogram. And I'll enlarge it a little bit for us here. So on the horizontal scale, it's representing the weight, or the pounds, of members of a certain high school debate team. So over here would be the number of members that fall in those intervals, those weights. Okay, what is the class width? What are the approximate lower and upper class limits of the first class? And from there on out, we can pretty much get the rest. So the class width, well, we see that we go from 105 to 115, and since we can find the difference between two lower class limits, and that is the same thing as finding the class width, we know that the class width must be 10. So I guess I gotta close it. 10. Okay, what are the approximate lower class limit and upper class limit of the first one? Okay, so the lower one would be 105, and then the upper one here would be 114, which seems a little against our intuition when we are not familiar with histograms. Now you guys are, I know, but to one of the newer students who wouldn't be as familiar with this, so I'm just going to go ahead and quickly write those out. So we would have 105 would be our first one, and then this goes to 114, so we're going to just list them all. And then we've got 114, sorry. How wide is this? This is 10 this contains 10 numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then our next lower class limit would be that 115, and then so on. So next question. The last digit of heights of 63 students were obtained as part of an experiment conducted for a class. Use the frequency distribution to the right to construct a histogram. So by the way, we earlier talked about experiments versus observational studies. You'll see in the context of the question why this was actually an experiment. So anyways, they obtained the information, and so remember, this is just the last digit of their heights. So we only have 9 digits. They're going to go 0 through 9. And then these are the frequencies. First of all, which of these represent a histogram for that frequency distribution? And if you see here that there are 16 ending with 0 and 15 ending with 5, we should expect to see a spike in those two areas. So what's the difference between, obviously C and D are out. C is a very uniform distribution and doesn't have a spike on 0 and 5, quite the opposite. And then I guess D still has potential, it's got a spike there. So C is out, but what's the difference between A, B, and D? The highest is coming up around 15, 16, so I'm now looking at B or D because the scale on A is up here at 36, obviously. And then I just need to pay close attention to the other numbers. It looks like it's B because it has a low 3 up to 5, then 3, 3, 3, then 5, 5, 5, then 4, 4. So that's our distribution. Okay. What can be concluded from the distribution of the digits? Specifically, do the heights appear to be reported or actually measured? So reported is when you ask one of the students and say, you know, how tall are you? And they say, I'm 5'3". And then you say, okay, well, first of all, convert that to inches. And let's see, how tall are you then again? You're 63. So the digit in the ones place is a 3, so you'll go right here, okay? And then you ask someone else again, how tall are you? They say, well, I'm 75 inches. Again, they're being nice. They're just converting it immediately to inches for you, and you say, "Wow, great, you're pretty tall." Anyway, so that's the way you go through the process if you're having them report the information. Measuring would be that you'd had the students pair up to try to keep it fair, and one person would take out the tape measure and measure the partner, and then they'd switch, and then the other person would measure. Now look at the possible choices here, and I think it kind of gives it away. I'll go ahead and let you first read through them. But down here at the bottom, choice D says, the data appears to be reported. That was that first style where you just ask people how tall they are. Certain heights occur with disproportionate number of times. They didn't occur uniformly like the shape of this C distribution, where they're all coming in about the same. And even that one, a couple of them came in lower, disproportionately. But instead, they came out with these spikes. And specifically, these spikes are on the 0s and the 5s. And that happens a lot when people are reporting. So that's what happened. They weren't measured. Otherwise, we'd probably expect a little bit more uniform distribution. Now the time's getting a little bit longer, and I've only completed 3 of these. Let me see if I can just go for a few more, and maybe not even get through 5 this time. Number 13 says that there's some report in a journal. The median price is stated as the price exactly between the highest and the lowest. Does this statement correctly describe the median? Why or why not? Well, let's see the options, but I would say it does, so I would go with yes. That's pretty much the median, right? The middle location. The mean was the one that was calculated by the sum of all the data divided by the count, and the mode was the most frequently occurring one. But the median's definition was found by sorting all the data either from lowest to highest or highest to lowest, and then finding the middle of them, actual middle location. So I would say yes, it's the one that's exactly in the middle. I'm interested to see how that, oh, they've also got mid-range to think about there. I'm interested to see how that works out. I might go with mid-range because mid-range just uses those two, the highest and the lowest, and it finds the average there. We'll see. If it was the test and I'm stressed, I've got other questions to worry about, I would have just stuck with that first choice. That usually happens. Alright, during the day of the test, I would answer this question differently than I would have when I was learning it during the homework, because at this point I'm just trying to get my answer out. So I automatically see they've got a list of data, they're going to start asking me for mean, mid-range, median, and so on. I'm going to go ahead and just open in StatCrunch, which will be allowed during the midterm. And I'm opening up that data already in StatCrunch, which is nice. If you like Excel, go ahead and open an Excel or whatever. So from this set of data, you can go to Stat, Summary Statistics, use the column. It's in the first column. I've already got the basics selected here. I wonder if I can actually select mid-range. I didn't think so, because I'm going to be able to compute that on my own. So let me go ahead. I'll take the maximum and minimum and average those to find the mid-range. 6.5 plus 20.5 and divide by 2. And then I can put all these in, and I think I can actually, I used to be able to close this one, type right over. Okay, so I'm going to type these in. You don't need to see that. I'll just show you the result. Now actually, as I come to this last part, what's the mode? I recognize that I didn't sort the data because I was using technology to do it. Go ahead and come back over here. Technology to do my calculation, and if I sort it, it would be very easy to see. So I can sort it, or I can go back to my options here and choose Edit and see if there was a mode option. There was down here at the bottom. So I can add mode to all of what I already had, or I can just replace it and do a mode calculation. And it says 6.5. Now by the way, again, you can hit Options, Edit, or you could have just closed that window and hit summary stats again, column, get that to open. When you choose the column, it already has the typical summary statistics right here, and if you want to add any of these, see, these are already highlighted, that's what it moved over. Hold Control, or I think it's Command on the Mac, and then click Mode, and it'll just throw that in there. Then I could have had that list. Okay, or again, Data, Sort, choose the list, and choose if you want to go ascending or descending. Pretty typical to go ascending. Hit Compute, and there it goes, making a sorted a list with the sorted data in it. By the way, you notice how it keeps jumping out? I don't know if you were paying attention or if you thought that was just part of my editing. But when you are using StatCrunch from inside a homework window or a test window, it will do that. It'll operate for the one problem or the one use, and then it'll close itself out because it wants to make sure that there's no cheating going on. During the midterm, I'm going to trust you, plus I'm going to be there, or your proctor is going to be there. So I'm going to allow you to have StatCrunch open from the main page and stay open, so you don't have it popping in and out like that. Alright, the mode most frequently occurring data value, 6.5. Again, we saw it with without sorting it. We saw it with just using the function, the command. What do these results suggest about the safety of this medicine? Choose the correct answer. Well, I don't know. I didn't really look at them, but one reason why we do these different measures of center is because we want to see if there's a consistency there. If they all line up or close to line up, then that means our information or our set is pretty normally distributed, or can be expected to be normally distributed. So let's look at my choices here, and you can pause and answer it yourself first. I really don't know. I mean, I think maybe I'm not supposed to know. There doesn't seem to be enough information given to make a real conclusion for me. I do know that there's consistency, but I don't know what the lethal limit is. And I don't think I'm supposed to be going outside the context of this question and searching on the internet to find that out. I think I'm just supposed to try to, see if maybe this is the right answer. There's not enough information. So the next part, what do the decimal values and the listed amounts suggest about the precision of the measurements? Well, they seem to be coming in around the same, except for those two 6.5s. The mean, median, and mid-range, we're in similar ballpark there. So I'd say, oh, they're not really getting at the same thing. So I think I'd go with A here. They are rounded to 1/10 measurements, and I think they weren't really measured to it, or they were, and then they were just rounded to either the half, or so yeah. Actually, I should be more specific here. Half unit measurements, because if it landed on a whole, they just took the whole, either rounded up or rounded down, and then they left half marks for the rest. So yeah, I'd say they're rounded to half. All right, I'm really interested to see. I didn't get to number 15, so that will be in the next set. But I want to know what happened on this number 14 question, so let me submit this. Well, we learned from our mistakes, right? So number 14, that one we were working on, they were fine. And I should make a point about mid-range. We don't use it very much. In fact, I think usually we only bring it up when we're trying to make sure that we don't confuse that with the median. And that might pertain to this question 13. Interesting. So, yeah, number 13, if you remember me saying earlier, this would have been when they're more so describing the mid-range in this post, or in this journal, that they said the price exactly between the highest and the lowest. They're getting at the fact that they only use the extreme values to average and find the middle, right? So that's the mid-range, not the median. And the reason we usually bring the two up together is so that you can distinguish between the difference. The median is the one that sorts them all and then finds the location middle that way. The mid-range is the one that averages the two endpoints. So they got me on that one. And I deserved to lose the point because I wasn't paying enough attention to the fact that they weren't. This description right here does not describe the median, because sometimes that may happen, but there's nothing in the calculation of the median that is going to make the middle be the average and equivalent to the mid-range. So read very carefully, and anyway, I'll leave that for us to look at.